And welcome back to the channel. Disclaimer for today's video, just right up front, the quality of some of it may be very low due to the native resolution it was streamed in, so I do apologize for that. Not much I can do there. So today, unfortunately, I'm talking about a subject which many of you who've watched the stream will know I've addressed many times, and that is cheating in World of Tanks. What does it look like? How does it affect us? How effective is it really? And all those kind of things. So there's many forms of hacks or illegal mods, and some of them are figments of the imagination conjured up by people who are struggling to understand realities and mechanics of the game, as you may know. Others, unfortunately, are much more real. One of the most popular mods that people get accused of using, whether or not they are using it, is an aimbot, or aim help, or whatever you may call it. Now, it's not only unique to World of Tanks, obviously first-person shooters have issues with aimbots, and I even often argue that it isn't really even that effective, so is it worth it, and does it actually exist? So what does something like aimbot look like? How does it work? Does it even really make you better than the opposition? Today we came across a Facebook streamer by the name of FB_Dawan Mushu, who is an executive officer in the clan -SSS. Now this is a player who, in my belief, uses aimbot not here and there but religiously. Now, I cannot confirm 100% that this is happening, as I obviously can't see his pythons or any of his backend things like Wargaming may, but I personally have never seen an aiming circle or reticle act the way his does, from my own first-person experiences or watching others on Twitch, so you guys will all have to be the judge. I'm just going to lay out what I think I see. First of all, let me show you how auto-aim works in the game and as a baseline. As you can see, I'm in the Leopard 1, a tank that in the right hands is very deadly on the battlefield. Now, you can see in this clip that I am auto-locking on two different targets. There's an EBR and a heavy tank. Now you'll see that when I'm using auto-aim on the EBR, even at very short range, it's highly unreliable. They are very fast, and auto-lock does not lead you, nor aim for the weak spots on a heavy tank. Rather, it locks onto the center of the mass, and it stays there until you unlock it. Because of this, auto-lock is really not great for shooting at very fast vehicles or things at long range because of shell travel time, and anything with lots of armor because the center of mass tends to be much stronger armor than, a lower plate weak spot or a cupola or whatnot. So here we go, we're going to jump into some gameplay. So here we have the first example of what began to make me curious about what's going on. And once again, I do apologize for the video quality. As you can see, it's not the greatest. Unfortunately, this is the native resolution it was streamed in. Obviously, he knows how to use mods a little bit better than streaming software, but I digress. As you can see, watching this player in the Czech auto-loading tier 10 medium, one of my personal favorites, the TVP 5051. Now, the first important thing to note here is that this is happening in a competitive game mode. That means, clan wars, advances. In this case, it's hard to tell. You may have already noticed that there's something odd going on with the reticle. There are technically two parts to the reticle in World of Tanks. There's the raw mouse input, which they call the reticle, which stays in the center of your screen and is basically where you're aiming. The aiming circle is the other smaller part, which indicates where the gun is actually pointing and follows the reticle, of course with a delay, based on things like turret traverse, hull speed, as well as your ping. However, you may see here that the aiming circle is behaving a little bit strangely. So, with little to no input from the reticle, the aiming circle is bouncing around on enemy vehicles, and even leading in some cases. So now we're in an STB, which is not exactly renowned for its shell travel time. Once again, you can see that the aiming circle is not chasing the reticle as it should be, rather it's leading the enemy tank. In this case, it's an EBR based on the movements he's doing and not the raw mouse input. Now the enemy does drive in a straight line, which is obviously not a very good idea for any EBR player. But even worse in this case, the mod, or what I think is the mod, is able to calculate the path of the enemy, and with the shell travel time being known, it's able to keep the aiming circle in the correct place to fire, and he just basically has to click the mouse. Even notices the fight moves into the shorter range here, as these 140s push in on him, that again the reticle is not giving any input to the aiming circle, and you'll see the aiming circle bounce around the enemy vehicle, even looking for track shots. Now obviously, standard auto-aim cannot do this for you guys, nor can it for me, and this is where I grew even more suspicious. Now this is where things really become obvious. You can see he's in a close range fight with the mouse in a 60 TP. You'll be able to see, and you can even hear as I was able to capture audio in some of these later clips, that auto-lock is being used here. Now, if you have any sort of experience with the game, you'll know that auto-locking onto a mouse, especially frontally, will be nowhere close to a weak spot. However, you'll see that his aiming circle, like it is now, is almost always locked on the lower plate of the mouse, and he's able to get damage. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play this clip with the audio, and you can take a listen, and you'll be able to hear and see where his reticle is, his aiming is, and the audio clips of his auto-lock engaging and disengaging. Now this is where I start to get a little bit frustrated. As me as a player, I take part in campaigns. You can tell that this is a campaign due to the boosted vehicles shown on the side panels. So you all know campaigns can be quite stressful, and every single win can matter when you're trying to get one of those, highly coveted reward tanks that everybody wants. For someone using this mod, however, you can sit back, drink some of your adult grape juice, and allow your auto aim to take care of the rest. Awesome for the rest of us, right? And here again is an example of what a program like this can do for players who choose to cheat rather than use their ability to score hits on difficult targets such as the EBR. Now at this point in time, this is where my suspicions go from maybe to just I'm blatantly watching cheating, so I'll just run that back for you and let you just watch. Yeah, nothing spooky there, right? There you go. And in a brawl scenario like this one coming up, you can see it can be a little tricky to make sure that you're focus firing with your allies, not getting in each other's way, all while trying to make sure you're doing the damage that your team needs to win. And just watch his aiming circle jump all around, doing all the weak spot acquisition for him, while he can stay for the most part in third person mode, just overviewing the unfolding situation, providing clear and unearned advantage in my opinion. Once again, this is totally not right, and there are things you just want to see more strictly monitored by Wargaming, frankly, to make sure we're all on an even playing field, right? And how many of you have a hard time aiming at the cupola of an enemy chieftain, even at close range? Not for this program. Now, once again, I was able to capture the audio, and you can clearly hear the auto-lock cues going on and off, yet his aiming circle does not act in the way that auto-aim should.
Nice hit. A leopard.
Did you see that? I'll slow it down for you. His auto-lock continues to lead the enemy even after the target has left the maximum render, which normally would cause it to disengage. And in the next clip here, you're going to see the exact same thing happen to this poor Barask player. He drives out of render range, the auto-lock stays on him, and a hit is scored. So obviously this kind of cheating is already against the terms of service put forth by Wargaming, but many of these players go unreprimanded since it requires a report from another player for the most part to get Wargaming to act, right? Unlike many popular games, there's no true anti-cheat software that is constantly monitoring for things like this, and over you can see this player blatantly cheating to gain an advantage. At this point in time, I'm just going to let the video do the talking, and no, your audio isn't cutting out, it's the native audio quality of this clip. Sorry.
What? What? Oh, I hit him also. Nice.
So there you have it. Hopefully Wargaming can look into some sort of anti-cheat software. Maybe something in the future will come up. As you all know, I mean, they've been putting some great stuff into the game. They've got lots of mods as standard features now, such as the hit point pools, all kinds of great stuff. So, I mean, there's less and less of a need for mods in general. I understand where they're coming from, and it's hard to outright ban mods with so many different options for this game, but I really do think that some of these things like auto-aim should be more strictly monitored, like in games such as Call of Duty, Apex Legends, other shooter games where aiming does matter, and just make sure that everybody's on an even playing field, right, as much as can be, and just let player skill and tactics do the talking. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Thanks very much for watching if you sat through this whole thing, and hopefully I see you on Twitch or YouTube soon.